but I will get started. My name is Jay Posner. I work for the town, and I am not here to talk about the Port Elgin Main Beach proposal. I have to make that clear. It is very interesting and a topic worth discussing, but that is happening at a later time. Council is going to be considering input on that. They have been, or the survey has been out there, but they are considering the input that was received over that process at a later time. Tonight, we're here to talk about the official plan review. And so just the outline for this evening is introduce the process, the review, the context in terms of its planning and how it relates to planning in general, the process for this specific review, a bit of an education primer on what our plan says now, because it leads into what the next section on telling us what the priorities should be, because the primary purpose of your attendance tonight is to tell us what your priorities are for our plan review and how we can be most effective at using the budget set aside for the review. Then I'll outline next steps as well as in the process, as well as how people can continue to participate throughout. So I've already introduced myself. Amanda Froese is here. She's the Director of Infrastructure and Development. We have other staff in the room, but I can't see them. But we also have hired a consulting team to assist us, and that's the GSP group. And so throughout this process, not tonight, but you may see their names in the paper or online, and so you want to know who they are. We've hired them, Steve Weaver and Catherine Parrott of GSP. What is an official plan? Well, it's in general terms, and this is how I'm going to discuss it tonight. There will be an opportunity for questions if people want more clarity. It's a forward-looking document. It's a long-term community vision, and specifically in the land use planning case, it's setting the goals and policies for managing and directing population employment growth, land use, and development. And why are we reviewing our plan now? Well, it's a provincial requirement. We're also experiencing a lot of change. Some of these are obvious, but it's also good planning to conduct regular reviews. So whether or not anything has happened, it's still something that I think I would have recommended to the council to pursue, is an update at regular intervals. This process aligns directly with our guiding principles of our strategic plan. It's going to be open and transparent. The information that is provided here and throughout this process will be made available at various stages and made available to council as well when they make their decision. We're going to be using the resources efficiently, effectively, and fairly to update our land use goals, objectives, and policies. As part of our strategic plan, we also value citizen input. So we're enhancing and supplementing the legislation's review process to respond to and reflect the concerns as prioritized in our strategic plan. Council has recommended the appointment of a public advisory committee as a heat check, say, on my opinion or my recommendations. You are going to be providing input throughout this process. The Public Advisory Committee is going to be reviewing it and making recommendations to me on its whether it reflects the values of the community. And as I'll outline later in this presentation, there are multiple opportunities for input. So not just tonight, not just on the survey, and not when everything's done at the end. You'll be given opportunities throughout the process to provide input to me, to council, to our consultants, to improve the official plan in our community. But one thing we are doing, and council made it very clear, is we're going to narrow our focus. We last approved our official plan, or adopted it in 2012, approved by the county in 2014. And the goal isn't to redo the whole plan. The goal is to identify 4 priorities, or 5 if need be, so that we can focus the resources and review on those priorities and make the plan better. It doesn't mean we're going to ignore the other parts, but we're going to focus the review on those priorities that are identified starting tonight and the survey. There's a small schematic showing the opportunity, in a very high level, the process. We're going to be priority setting. Step 1, input from the public. Step 2 is the research once the priorities are set by council or affirmed by council. More input from the public and other stakeholder groups, agencies, First Nations, communities. Then we're going to create policy after we've researched and reviewed the options. And then when we're good at the final step is sort of finalizing it and eventual council adoption and approval of the updated policies. In Saugeen Shores, we don't have an official plan for our whole community. Or at least we don't have a plan of our own policies for the whole community. We've, on the area identified in purple up here, that's the focus of our plan right now. At least as far back as 1999, Saugeen Shores decided they wanted to focus its land use policy on the settlement area, what we call the settlement area, that area bounded by the purple. So that's mainly the area where growth is focused, where servicing is focused, and where the majority of our activity is focused. The remainder of Saugeen Shores still has planning policy. It's just we've decided that the county plan is sufficient, and it still sets policy for rural and agricultural development as well as resource management like aggregate resources. So you've seen this map. I'm not sure which side, I've forgotten. It is the main land use policy or plan diagram for the community. It sets out the land uses that we expect to see in the community, and if you own property in the area or are a resident, you can find your property and understand, oh, is it residential or am I in a commercial property, whatever. We also have policies on our transportation areas. And we also have a built-up area. These are the main maps. If you've seen them in our official plan, I'm only going to refer to them tangentially tonight because the main is the priorities. But the built-up areas that we want to focus some of our growth into infill and intensification. Our current plan has this as its vision, is that Saugeen Shores will continue to be a leader in Bruce County in providing a place for individuals, families, retirees, culture, tourism, business, and industrial opportunities. It is the objective of this plan to help preserve both the identity and the diversity of the unique communities that jointly form the town, while strengthening and enhancing a sense of oneness. That's a lot of run-on sentences, but that's what our plan says. That's our vision. So 20 years from now, or the future, this is what we see ourselves as in terms of our vision. Our plan lays out specific goals and objectives as generally categorized here, and as I'll explain throughout the evening, and which you'll get to prioritize. I have an activity later on. We have growth management, housing, economic development, natural environment, arts, community, lifestyle, infrastructure, sustainability, and consultation. I'll go through these somewhat quickly, so if there are questions, I guess please put your hand up. There is a time for questions at the end, but I sort of want to make sure I'm not moving too quickly. But I just wanted to explain each of the major goals and objectives and sort of what our plan says we should be doing. So under growth management, we want to accommodate the people and jobs expected to come to 2031, and we have to do that identify the land and try to develop it as efficiently as possible. So what we thought in 2012 is that there would be 5,000 more people between 2012 and 2031 and 1,100 jobs. And then using the map schedule of whatever ones that's closest to you, we've identified the land that's available that we can use to accommodate all those people and all those jobs, and set aside residential land, commercial land, employment. This sort of seems pretty basic, but it's sort of the fundamental part of our official plan. Is that everyone's okay at understanding that part? Sure. So like education lands? Yeah. Well, I haven't identified them all. There is an institutional designation for major institutional, but that's a good question. Some of our education, like daycare, do fall under residential because they're small house provided care, but you're correct. Some of our major institutions I have not identified here. I probably overgeneralized. And by the way, this specific plan, I have a copy here. It's available online. It's available at our website. I'll provide you that later. I have tried to summarize it, so I do expect that I have probably overgeneralized to a certain extent, but I appreciate the question. On housing, we have specific goals for housing to ensure that housing is available in a variety of types, densities, and locations throughout Saugeen Shores, and that new housing in existing neighborhoods fits in. You can determine whether we've done that successfully, but some of the tools we've used are setting minimum densities of 15 units per hectare because it uses more land more efficiently at that density than lower densities. We've set guides for determining height massing parking, amenity areas, and setbacks to ensure housing in existing neighborhoods fits in. Sure. So those are good questions. That's a good question. And I guess what I'd say to that is, firstly, we want to hear that. We want to understand if that's a priority for the community. So if it is, in evaluating the exercise or conducting the exercise tonight, and then or filling out the survey online, we want you to provide that comment, because that's a very good question, because perhaps there isn't enough policy that provides guidance to council and staff to make those recommendations in a clear and understandable way. But I want you to be able to tell us that. So if you think it is, then follow through with the exercise tonight or the answering the survey online. So maybe I'm hedging it, but I don't want to provide any planning opinion. I just want you to be able to encourage you to be able to fill out that survey and provide that comment directly. Sorry, another question. Mm-hmm. Well, these are good questions. Right. Right. Well, that's excellent, because we can have, through the exercise tonight, if you want to prioritize character as policies that we should look at, you do that through the exercise tonight and through the survey online. Okay. There's actually the survey. I'll be corrected if I'm wrong. There's 4 that you can choose from of the list of 10. You can rank 4 of them. Yeah. Well, I mean, that could be your comment. Your comment is the survey is not user friendly, and that then I provided that note, and other staff have as well. So I'll take one more question, but I'd like to go through the rest of the goals and objectives. I can answer questions now if you'd like. It's a council-appointed citizen committee, so 3 members whose goal is to review the public comments that are received throughout the process and determine if they reflect the values of the community. So we're taking away either council or, say, my influence on the process and giving it to the advisory committee so they can make an objective opinion statement on those comments. Council appoints the committee.
So to build on what Jay's saying, council approved a way of doing committees this year that is unique, and we're trying to change the way we do governance and stakeholder consultation. So staff proposed, let's get a group of people that can volunteer, put their names forward, that those names could be drawn upon for tasks such as this. So we had a group of, I was online for quite a while, we had a good number of people put their names in, so then we have a list of people that are interested in providing their opinion to staff on numerous items. So when an item comes up that staff wants to have a focus group that we can go to and say, are we on the right track for Saugeen Shores? We go to the striking committee of council. They will select the people through the list, confirm that they're interested, and that they will do that for that thing. So it's not just this one. We have many of these that are going on right now where there are different people from the community that put their names forward. That's correct. So people put their name forward to be on this committee. Yeah, yeah.
So I said I would take the one question, move on, unless it's related to the committee. Okay, I have one, or here. Okay, got that comment. Thank you. A few more at the back, and I'll leave it at 2. The committee. They were selected from that pool of interested participants. People, we asked for this for all sorts of purposes, and people understood when they were applying what they were asking for. Okay, thank you. Well, I mean, I'll take that as a comment, but the committee members, the people that were requested.
So let's go back to when Jay talked about public consultation. So there are multiple points through the official plan process that are open to all public input. All public can now put input in through the survey through tonight and help pick the priorities. What this group of people is just a sounding board for staff to go back and say, this is what we're hearing from the public. We're looking for you to just nod and say yes or no. That's not what we feel, and that's what we hear. And it's just to give that peer group for staff to have to do that. As a small municipality, we don't have a lot of staff on board to do that with, and this is a tool that we can use. But throughout it, there's 5 or 6 times that you're going to be able to have public input into the process on the official plan. I'm not sure how to answer that. I'm sorry, but the process was put forth in front of council on how to set up the committee. Tonight's meeting should not be here to discuss how we set up the committees. Tonight's meeting needs to focus on the official plan, what you want the priorities to be so that we can move forward through the process. And I would appreciate focusing it on that discussion, honestly. I apologize for that. I'm not discounting the concerns. I guess how I see the committee is it's a voluntary add-on to what the public consultation process would be without it. So we could, and we would have in the past, like Jay had said, the last time we did it, we went to the public once and asked for opinions. So we're trying to do it differently. We're going to come out to the public 6 times. I think on that last slide that shows where we're going to come out and get your input. And that is taken into account. And you can see that in some of the things that we've done in the past, like the transportation master plan and the alternatives that were selected and the implementation pieces that are coming out of that. It's all guided from that.
Well, we've heard it, and I want to move on. Certainly a number of the members, excuse me, you've already commented, a member of count. Thank you. That's the second time you've told me. I've made note. We've heard it. Thank you. Council can observe this live right now, and we have a member here. Council can view this at any time. We'll be giving them links to this, and they'll be able to hear exactly these comments. Thank you. So another goal and objective of the official plan is to look at economic development. And literally it says we want more economic development and diversification to provide more employment growth and opportunities. And I've identified employment, land, and commercial activities. We have policies to regulate the creation of new businesses and the expansion of existing businesses and implement them through our zoning bylaw. We have policies in the natural environment. Again, not evaluating the quality of those policies, but we do have policies. We want to maintain, restore, and enhance our natural heritage. And so we've mapped our natural features like some of the woodlands, rivers, and wetlands. We have policies to prohibit and development that would have a negative impact or require further study if to ensure there are no negative impacts. We have some policy on arts, culture, and heritage, and that we have all new development. This maybe goes to your question earlier, or your concern earlier, is that development that respects important cultural features and conserves and enhances our existing cultural heritage. So maybe this is where you had identified a concern earlier. And so we require new development to conduct archaeological assessment. I'll just finish this and then I'll get back. And then we also have policy to enable the creation of design guidelines that are an attempt at trying to ensure development in those areas fit in. So yes. So if I can paraphrase what you've said, by the way, I'm not asking you to rate us. I'm asking us, this is me explaining what is in our plan. And if you are seeing this and see it's not very good, then your priority is when you tell us what your priorities should be for this review, you're telling me that arts, culture, and heritage should be a priority for the town, and we should do more to develop policy to protect the heritage. Yes, sorry. So you will identify. To me, I don't think. I mean, I guess I interpret the survey differently than you do. I see the ranking as if you are ranking me low on there. That to me, it is inclusive of things that we're not doing. You're saying they're not enough because the next question is, what are your priorities? And then the third question is, please explain if there's something missing. And so I will collect that information that sort of provides that nuance. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sure. Mm. It is. It's like the content we want. We asked you for the priorities, and I'm hearing this is a priority or one of the priorities it could be. Community character is another goal and objective in the town. We want to recognize the character of different areas in the town. Again, not saying how well any of these are actually happening in their development. This is what our policy says. You can decide it's terrible, and then you'll say it's a priority for you. You need to do this better at this. Or you can say it's excellent, in which you say, no, it's not a priority. But you need to tell us that. That's what the information is, what I need. And yes, you had this question earlier, I think, about compatibility. So that's good. I need to hear that because I need to know that that's a priority to the community. Another goal and objective is lifestyle. We want to have one of the best qualities of life in the country. And so we have policies to try to do that. We have policies and goals for how infrastructure. Sorry, yes. Sure. Right. Okay, that's very, very good for to hear. Thank you. So we have policy on services and transportation. The official plan enables us to use master plans to ensure our water, sewer, roads infrastructure supports the existing and planned growth. And actually, I've identified currently where we are reviewing our water sewer master plan. We are doing a transportation master plan that Amanda is leading. We can answer questions on those separately, but it is something that is in our official plan as well. We have policy on sustainability. We say we want a sustainable community. So again, to the extent that our plan has policy at all, it says that we encourage efficient land use patterns and our employment areas are near residential areas to reduce automobile dependency. And I acknowledge that there are gaps. So if I'm not asking you to rank whether these two are low, there are gaps in this policy. So you may be saying, I want you to focus on sustainability and develop new and better policy for sustainability. And I should have said this at the beginning, many of these overlap, like sustainability and natural environment, growth, housing, they all overlap. But they are separated here just because that's how the plan does it. But there is overlapping. So, anyways, I just need to make sure that it's all sort of integrated, and the goal is to make sure it works well. And you can tell us whether we do a good job or not at all. And then our final goal and objective is that we do have a guide on how we would like to consult and engage the community. We have to improve public consultation opportunities and participation. And the current official plan says, at least in concert with Bruce County, we have internet-based storage. When we did this in 2012, we did not. We had policy to ensure communications in accessible formats. In 2012, we did not. And so those are the two main objectives that we had there. So the exercise for tonight is I'm going to hand these out. I will finish this presentation, then I'll hand them out. But I'm going to provide you each with 4 stickers, and I'd like you to apply them to the goals and objectives that are posted outside, and they'll be used to help us determine what of the 10 sections of the official plan you would like to focus our review on. And it's next steps is we're going to receive input now, and over the next while we'll report to council. We're going to conduct the review of the identified priorities when they're established by council. Then we're going to seek further input as we go through the process and ultimately report to council. There is our website with the friendly URL you can go to and fill out the survey. I think I have some handouts at the back, so you don't have to write it down. You can get the link from there. And that is it for this part. Oh, sorry, go ahead. They, for whatever reason, took 2 years to approve our plan. Well, depending on the priorities that are identified and how the research and the review pans out, is that this will be an update to the existing plan and therefore only to 2031. Another, depending on the results of the review. But I don't know what the priority is. If that's a priority for the community, I need to hear that. Yes, that's right. At least to 2031. That's the, if you take the premise of the official plan, there's enough land to 2031. That, I'm, yeah. Uh, I need to hear that. It's, yeah. I don't know if I've ever characterized we want it done quickly. That's why I didn't put any timelines. But I also am saying it's a review. It's a review. The goal isn't to redo the plan. But that's your input. I'm sorry, Amanda. If that's your input, that's your input, and we've made a note, and it will be provided to council.
Yeah, that would be the OP doesn't have to go through its comprehensive review. This is the midpoint of our comprehensive review schedule. So this is our 5-year review. So instead of doing the 10-year comprehensive update, we're at the midpoint. So we're taking that checkpoint to make sure we're on track, so that when we do the 10, we're not waiting for the 10-year required review for the comprehensive review. So we're looking at coming out saying we're halfway through. Is there anything in the policy that we need to be changed? And so we keep the timeline for that, so that in the 10-year that we'll do our 10-year comprehensive back online again. But if what we hear today is overwhelming, that no, things have changed so dramatically in Saugeen Shores that you need to speed up your comprehensive review, forget doing an interim review of certain priorities, we want the whole thing to be done again, then it starts a whole different process, and we would look to council to confirm that we would do it. That is a comment.
Sorry. The province does not approve the plan. Well, yeah. Well, the consultants are hired now, but we are building flexibility in the process to be able to respond to the needs that are identified by the community. If the community demands research that takes time, then we're going to take time. I don't think it's fair to give anybody deadlines if we're not going to commit to them. Like, if it takes time, it takes time. Yeah, there isn't a meeting set. There isn't one set because we want to give enough time for the survey to be completed. We need enough time for it to be reviewed and analyzed, and then we report to council.
As an example, if natural heritage gets picked and we get the overwhelming response that we want our woodlands to be studied, it's 4-season study. So if that's the top priority, then we're a year away from having any research done. Whereas if affordable housing is put on it, then again, what the province is doing, we will be trying to keep in line with that. There's those sort of things. So each priority would have a different timeline. So once we get the priorities set, then we'll come back out with more public information about when we're meeting again. Honestly, it's we're open-minded right now. We don't know what you people want to hear us working on. So once we know what you want us working on, then we can come back with it.
Yeah. So that I'm happy you said that because yes, there are opportunities for us to get information beyond the survey, and one of them is be able to. You email me at any time, and I think there's contact information on that. You can call as well. We are going to be seeking additional input from various stakeholder groups like the Chamber, like the Southampton residents, like Beachers. Those are just 3 examples, but we can go to other organizations as well. Depending on, again, that's sort of at the beginning end. They're going to be established from our network. So, or the Southport University Women is another organization, but yes, there are other ways of getting information. We will be asking very similar questions because I don't think it's good research to ask one thing of one group and one thing of someone else, a different question. So we have to try to have some similarities in the type of information we're collecting. But I do encourage that the survey is the biggest source of information of this type because when I set it up, I'm not asking you to tell me what is specifically wrong with heritage. I want you to tell me that heritage is important to me and you should do research and start to do your review on heritage. That was the intention of the survey, and maybe I will add that to the website to be clear that that's what I want as responses. But I do want to hand out these stickers because I still think the exercise is worth going through. If you have other questions, I'm happy to answer individually, or Amanda can. Is it something to discussion for the whole group? Yes. Yeah. So yeah. So this isn't that. No, it's no, no. We are not a first past the post system. I'm not doing my job as a planner if I don't consider all input that's come in. But it is important. One element is that the number of respondents of a particular issue is one element that will be used to evaluate the importance of an issue. But I want to be clear. Just having 50,000 votes for one doesn't guarantee it is the priority for the community. Agree? I can't even put myself in that category. I'm not 40. Sorry. One last question, and I will hand it. Bill, you can maybe see me after. So, you guys had the person behind you. Sorry. Yes. Why? I'm asking you to make the priority in your mind. And you can write additional information on the survey that way. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. As I mentioned, it's only one element to evaluate the importance of an issue. You've had many opportunities. You want to see me after? I don't think it needs to be discussed with everybody here. That's right. But you can also choose not to do it and provide me comments alternatively. I'm not forcing you. Well, I need to hear that. So. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll still give everyone stickers. They're more than welcome to use them.